This is my second attempt at this video. I made one earlier today and realized after I filmed the entire thing, including filling these inks into these pens, that I was not in frame. So I cleaned the inks out and I'm going to redo this. I'm taking the opportunity to change my mind about the inks that I put in there because I wasn't quite satisfied. So this is pen ink filling part 2. Just to recap, I have a custom 74 from Pilot in the Lavender Fog colorway with a soft fine nib, and this comes with a Con 70 converter that I will be using. The next pen is a TWSBI Diamond 580. It's called the RBT colorway, which stands for red, blue, and transparent. It's supposed to be sort of a patriotic theme, I guess, but I'm a big comic book nerd, so I saw this and thought superhero. So I will be going for a Superman or Wonder Woman theme. Initially, I was going to put a yellow ink in there. It just didn't look great. It was beautiful on the paper, but in the barrel, it was kind of murky looking, not the effect I was going for. So I'm going to do instead a complementary color, and I'm going to do a blue ink in here. Oh, FYI, in the Pilot Custom 74, I'm going to do a contrasting color. This will be a darker green color that's in the light purple. And then in my Sailor 1911 Wicked Witch of the West fine nib pen, that's a dark purple with a very subtle shimmer in it, I'm going to go with a light green ink. And this, even though it comes with a cartridge converter, I'll be removing that and showing you how to use an ink cartridge that you can buy separately. Sometimes when people are starting out in the fountain pen hobby, it's easiest to go with ink cartridges because the measuring is done for you, the application is fairly straightforward, and you don't have to worry about making as much of a mess. So I wanted to show you a cartridge converter fill, a piston fill, and an ink cartridge fill. We'll start with the ink cartridge fill since that's the most common, even if it's not the most beloved amongst fountain pen enthusiasts. So when you get your pen, you take off the body of the barrel. This included cartridge converter will come installed like that, and you just give a gentle, firm tug to pull it out. Some brands you have to twist out. Those are I find more in the Japanese and the Chinese brands. The Japanese brands, it's simply a pull. It's a friction fit. So just give a gentle but firm pull, and it should come right out. And you're left with the shoulder of the pen with the nib feed and the nib itself. You take your ink cartridge from your package. In this case, it is the Sailor Shikari brand in the Wakaguzi, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, Wakaguzi colorway, which is a little bit of a lighter green than I initially went with earlier. And it's my last one, so it's going to be beautiful. On an ink cartridge, you've got two ends. You've got a flush end and then an indentation end. The indentation end is what goes towards the nib. You have your tines pointing up to minimize the chance of a splash. You gently and firmly, with intention, insert this end into the hole where there is a receptacle that you can't see in this lighting, but it punctures the cartridge. It's a thin plastic, and then the feed starts to flow. So point your nibs up and gently but firmly pop it in there. I don't know if you heard that subtle click. Some companies, Pilot included, suggest giving your nib upside down a gentle squeeze until you start to see a little bit of ink running down the nib feed. Don't go too crazy because you're not trying to waste any ink and have any drop out, and I can already see a little bit happening, so I'm stopping right there. I'm comfortable that I've got the nib feed primed. So I'm going to put the body back together, and I will cap this and set this in something nib down while I work on these other two, just to ensure that the feed is being thoroughly saturated. Next up, let's use the TWSBI Diamond 580. This is a piston filler. The knob on the end activates and retracts the piston filler. You may see some moisture in there from earlier. That will not affect this, even though there's a little bit of color left in there. It's going to look pretty. I guarantee it. The difference with this is you are submerging the nib unit fully into the bottle of ink, well past the breather hole. I usually go past the shoulders of the nib, and then use the piston to draw the ink up into the reservoir like you would do with medicine in a syringe. There's a tricky way that you can get a full draw that I'll show you, but I will say I don't prefer doing a full draw. I like to change my ink colors often enough that I don't want to have a full draw, because that takes a long time to use. So you're going to insert your nib fully into the ink, draw ink up into the barrel, and you'll notice that it does not completely fill the reservoir. If you want that fully filled, you'll need to turn your pen nib side up so that that air chamber is now at the top of the reservoir, and very carefully, not too quickly, activate the piston to push that ink farther up the reservoir. You don't want to go too fast because ink is coming out the top. You want to give that a chance to settle back down before you do the next little bit. This takes a moment. You just have to be patient and let that nib settle. Otherwise, what will happen is ink will run down the shoulders. You don't want that. You could tip it over and gently tap some ink off and keep on going. That's pretty much evacuated from the air, and now at this point you would resubmerge and continue drawing, and you'll get a much fuller reservoir. I don't typically like to have a full reservoir because I like to change my inks often, so I'm going to empty about half of this back out, just straight back into the barrel. So I've got half of a draw. And you'll take some paper toweling, a small wad of it, and just gently clean off the shoulders of the nib. Notice I'm not really rubbing the nib itself because I don't want the fibers of the paper towel to get stuck in the tines. You can do a light swipe, but don't really get in there. See that? You don't want that. Do it very gentle. And then, as before, I will cap it and set it nib side down so that it can continue to saturate the feed. I will collect a cleaner portion of this paper towel to use on the next one and recap this Diamine port of call ink that I put into the TWSBI. The last ink I'm going to use is also from Diamine's 160th anniversary release, and this one is called Canal Side. And I think the green tones would look really good as a contrasting color for the light purple of the lavender fog. So this has already got a cartridge converter installed, but if it didn't and you are having to install it, it's the same way. fluid from when I cleaned it out. You just gently push it, give it a little twist, and you're in. Uncap your ink, fully submerge the nib, and do your draw. It really is like drawing medicine into a syringe. Sorry, this is not that kind of syringe. I made a mistake. This is a push button syringe. So you push the top and it fills up the reservoir just like that. Easy squeezy. Gently wipe the excess on the jar and wipe off the shoulders thoroughly, and then a gentle swipe across the nib to get excess off. Now, I don't like to leave these hanging around because I always end up touching the ink. So off camera, I will secure it in a trash can and then secure the ink and the body of the pen. And as before, I will set that aside, nib down to fully saturate. Do a little cleanup to get this out of the way. This cartridge converter that came with the Sailor Wicked Witch of the West can be used later, so I will put that back in my bin for storage. Now I'd like to test these inks for you, so I'm just going to grab a Rhodia notebook. Rhodias are really great to do test swatches on because it's a fountain pen friendly paper that's a bright white, so you can really see shading. So we'll start at the beginning with the Sailor Wicked Witch of the West. I'll just do a little writing sample for you. Sailor Shikari. I always get this name wrong. Waka Uguisu, which is a beautiful forest green. Let me do a little bit more of a swatchy swatch so you can see the color. Sort of a desaturated green that's in the spring family, but it's a muted spring family. It's kind of the color of moss. It's beautiful. All right, next up was the TWSBI Diamond 580 with the red, blue, and transparent. This is an extra fine nib. This is Diamine 160th anniversary port of call, which is this really interesting aqua color that's on the darker side of teal, but it's got some really interesting shading properties and is just a gorgeous color and matches that blue fairly well. And last up, my new baby, the Pilot Custom 74 Lavender Fog. This is a soft fine nib. I don't know if you can tell, but It is a 14 karat gold nib, so it does have some spring to it, but this is a soft fine nib, so it's got a little extra spring. And you can tell by my writing that it's not a fully accurate fine line. The soft aspect gives it a little bit more spread, so more ink lays down, but it also has a nice springy effect to it. It's really quite lovely to use. And this one is the Diamine 160th anniversary canal side. And if you have ever seen a canal in South Florida, or from what I understand, London, you are familiar with the algae green color that accumulates in canals, and that is quite accurate. I think it's a really pretty contrasting color to that light lavender. So I'm very happy with these ink choices. I think that I was able to show you guys some good pen refilling techniques. I hope that you learned something new. I'm by no means an expert on any of this, so if any of you saw anything that I did incorrectly or have further suggestions, please, please, please feel free to jump in the comments and correct me or add to my knowledge. And if you liked this video, I would love it if you would subscribe, like, and share with one of your friends that you think could benefit from this. And as always, if you've got any ideas for further videos you'd like to see me watch or do, I am open to all suggestions. That's it, guys. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other, and have a great day.